For papers like The Statesman, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, and those, any of these markets, we're all grappling with the exact same problem, is in that our print revenue is declining, and circulation is declining. And I think all of us know that our future is in a convergence of print and digital media, digital delivery. For any paper of size to survive in the coming number of years, they're going to have to adapt and adopt some type of paid content strategy. Now, how you go about doing that is the key. It's not a matter of just saying it's time to go paid content and it just happens.
Everybody's trying to figure this out. Once you create an ethic of this doesn't cost anything,
Yeah, people
it's very difficult to begin charging for it. We're in a time of really great turmoil and really great change, and it's a very difficult set of problems. And all you can do is throw yourself at it and say, look, I'm going to try this and this and this and this.
The vast majority of our underwriting, the vast majority of the support for the programming that you hear on KET comes from listeners and local businesses. So we ask 2 or 3 times a year, we ask listeners to pay for what they could otherwise get for free.
Websites at one time were just sort of strap-on kind of might as well have appendages to your main news organization, but nobody really took the content there seriously. They didn't put resources into them. It's kind of like, okay, we've got a radio station or we have a TV station, I guess we need to have a website. And so there have the efforts put into those have ranged from everything from just token to getting very, very serious about it. And as these other entities have seen their market share slip and their advertising dollars go elsewhere, they've realized that they have to get more serious about their internet delivery as well. And so now we compete day in and day out with not so much the entities that we used to when I first got started in this business, meaning our much further away competitors like Dallas and Houston, San Antonio, as much as local market share. And so we compete vigorously with the local TV market, not with what they're putting on the air at 5, 6, and 10, but with what they're putting on their websites.
Television has long provided its content free to the viewers. I mean, especially network news. People are accustomed to turning on the news when they want it and not having to pay a subscription to get it. Even if you get satellite or cable TV, you don't really need that to get local news. So as television comes into the digital era, it doesn't seem to have the baggage of we've got to get people to subscribe to our product. That assumption is out of the equation. They've never had to have people subscribe. They just had to have people watch. I've not seen that pressure on at least this particular TV station in this particular market. The pressure to downsize,
Yeah.
the letting go of staff, shrinking the product.
It used to be if you worked for a newspaper, you were in print. You're not in audio, you're not in video, right? If you're in radio, you're an audio guy. If you're in TV, and each of those has its limits. If you're digital, you can do all of those things.
There's so many different ways that so many different people can get the news that they want, that you have to be there as a news provider with the kind of news that you are known for. I always have to have a visual element to all my stories. I have to have a print element to all my stories. I have to have a social media element to all of my stories. I have to have outreach to the community in all of my stories. I have to be there on that platform providing the same kind of comprehensive, in-depth, careful, well-balanced, news produced with integrity that we have become known for on the radio, so that we can reach the same audience or encourage the audience to continue to follow us as an organization.
We compete on a number of different levels. Businesses compete for ad dollars, the ad dollars that pay for most things to function at any business, but we also compete as news organizations.
When you put the digital platform in play, there's no programming to interrupt. We can keep news flowing all day, every day if we want to. There's nothing to stop me. There's not a time constraint, and there's not a physical constraint.
So it all is videotaped or audio taped or tweeted about.
And it's a lot more work. We've gotten a lot of audience feedback about their stories, from which we'll do further reporting. Citizens are important, I think, and becoming increasingly more important, especially with the increase of use of social media across all ages. You have better ways to engage audiences who may be listening or who may be reading, and get them to share information, contacts, stories, or other stuff that we can then follow up. I think they're an important source for good reporting.
We're not using them as more reporters necessarily, but to be a news organization operating on the internet and have the capability of engaging your audience in a way that you never could in print, and pass that up is just is just an admission that you're never going to keep up with with your audience.
If they know that we're interested in that content, they'll tell us other important things that are going on.
We're very careful to make sure that we're saying these are citizen reports. There's a lot of good individual bloggers out there. In fact, there's even a page on our website where we link to and recommend a lot of good community bloggers.
Professional journalists look at a bunch of information and try to discern which of it is good information and which of it is bad information, and to distill and to present information in a way that makes it understandable. So part of our job is figuring out which parts of this are signal and which parts of this are noise. And what happens with the internet is you move all of these tools directly into the hands of the public, you move that discernment directly into the hands of the public, so that it's not just editors or, if you that are filtering this information. You have to filter this information yourself.
But there's a difference between those bloggers and what we do here at the Statesman. There is a carefully scrubbed, unbiased, fact-checked quality to our reporting, and we hire people with that in mind. We hold them to those standards, and even when they are not writing stories or even a blog, but even when they're in their social media accounts, we tell them that that is the standard. It's very much a pick and choose sort of environment right now, and I think that doesn't do anything but actually help us because it allows us to be a constant, reliable, predictable in terms of its authenticity source of news.
You want to do journalism. We all know how to do that. That hadn't really changed. There's some new tools and some things you can do and some fun stuff, but that's journalism's journalism. The second thing is, how do you deliver it? We don't have a printing press. We don't want to buy one. It doesn't make sense. Let's put it on their phones. Let's put it on their laptops.
All of this is moving much, much, much more in a mobile direction. Our wired sites, as we call them, the statesman.com and austin360.com, that I would call up on the computer behind me here, we're finding more and more people want to interact with us, consume our news, and comment on our news. They want to do it from mobile devices. So whether it be an iPad or a smartphone.
The greatest revolution in journalism happened with the iPhone and the smartphone, right? Because as a journalist, I can gather tape and I can get video and I can get pictures at any point and any time, whether I'm on vacation or not. And I can tell that story doing some on the scene reporting. That we have an app. We also seek listener feedback using both our on-air service and our online services. KUT News specifically has 3 places where we have specific sites online. We have the news section of KUT.org, we have a blog, KUTnews.org, and we have State Impact Texas. We recently did an interactive web page for people to look at the length and the severity of different parts of the drought and see who was affected most severely and what parts of the state are still in drought and what parts are escaping. We also do a lot of rebroadcast and streaming of the content that you can hear on air.
We invite the public in through live chats. The iReporter app would allow us to engage people who are here for South by Southwest to contribute very quickly shot small video files. We're continually doing things like that.
We're on Facebook and Twitter. We're creating new apps for the iPad, the iPhone, all the smartphones, so that it's easier for these platforms to accept everything we have to offer. Back there's the assignments desk. The board tells you who's doing what, and which stories we're assigned to. Cameras are mostly robotic. You don't have to have a person operating. We keep our website up on that big screen all day, and the reason some of the stories are shaded, the darker the shading, the more interest they're getting from the readers. So you see that one that's really red at the bottom. So we're going to keep that one out front as long as it stays trending.
One of the things that's a commonplace in newsrooms is reporters working with data and reporters working with spreadsheets and with big data sets and with graphics and all of these kinds of things. And what you can do with the internet and with digital is you can make the entire database available to everybody. One of the things that's been interesting about it is how popular those things are and how much time people spend in those databases, whether they're looking at lobby records or they're looking at campaign finance or they're looking at public employee salaries or whatever they're looking at. It's been a really interesting thing that we've become primary source material for people doing their own work. It's a time when, you sort of trade the safety of institutions for the freedom of no rules. And if you can just sort of relax into that, it's a lot of fun.